Hello and welcome to Kidney Plugged In. April 7th will mark the third annual Green Shirt Day. Green Shirt Day is in honor of the Logan Boulet effect in support of organ donation awareness and registration, not only in Canada, but around the world. We are honored to have Logan Boulet's parents, Bernadine and Toby, join us today on Plugged In to talk about their thoughts and aspirations for this Green Shirt Day. They also share some reflections about their son Logan and his active organ donation that led to the phenomena, the Logan Boulet effect. And that ignited a conversation about organ donation and a call to action across the nation. Bernadine and Toby join us next, right here on Kidney Plugged In.
Lovely to see you again, Toby and Bernadine, and welcome back to Plugged In. It's hard to believe that we're here marking the third annual Green Shirt Day on April 7th. And of course, Green Shirt Day is all about remembering the families and the victims of the Humboldt bus crash that happened in Saskatchewan in 2018, where it took the lives of 16 people. And Green Shirt Day is really about continuing Logan's legacy, about inspiring Canadians to register as organ donors and, of course, to share their wishes with their family members.
Toby and Bernadine, 3 years ago, we had the pleasure of meeting you both at the Saskatoon Gala, and then again at the 2019 Kidney Gala here in Vancouver, where you were the keynote speakers.
It is truly an honor to be here tonight to speak about our son.
Could we start today by talking about Logan's legacy for organ donation registration and what has come to be known worldwide as the Logan Boulet effect?
So the Logan Boulet effect kind of really started quite quickly. At the beginning, it was called more the Logan effect because of the impact that not only the crash had on so many Canadians, but also just Logan's decision and his desire to be an organ donor, and then our ability to be able to carry that through. And all of a sudden, it just inspired people all across Canada, then into the States and across the world to become registered organ donors. And so then it just kind of blossomed or bloomed to become the Logan Boulet effect, which kind of seemed odd to us because it was just more like it was the right thing to do, is what our son had wanted to do. And to have something so far reaching was actually really incredible, and that it actually got labeled the Logan Boulet effect was sort of more than we could almost believe would happen from something that we thought was just the right thing to do at that time.
Can we talk about why organ donation was so important to Logan?
Logan was inspired by his trainer, Rick Suggett. Rick Suggett trained Logan in fitness, and he was a friend of mine, but became friends with Logan and three of his buddies that all played junior hockey in Saskatchewan. And Rick passed of a cerebral brain hemorrhage on June 27th, 2017. That really disrupted the boys, and it really affected Logan the most, but all four boys were really disrupted and distraught. And they continued training. And then just literally on our back deck, where Logan and I would hang out all the time, we just hang out, have a hot tub and visit. He just announces that, I want to be an organ donor, like Rick. If he can save 6 lives, so can I. And I said, okay. Nobody will want your organs when you're 65. And he says, that doesn't matter. So it's going to happen. And basically, I'm going to sign up on my birthday. And that's what it was. He was inspired by Rick.
So much has happened since the Humboldt Broncos bus crash, Logan's passing, and donating his organs to save 6 others' lives. His act inspired hundreds of thousands of people around the world to follow in his footsteps and to register to be organ donors. And that included those in the hockey world. You know, from the pros down to the Pee Wee leagues. I think it would be very difficult to find any player who's not aware of who Logan Boulet is and what his legacy stands for. What is it that you would both like everyone honoring Logan on Green Shirt Day to do to help make a difference?
I think the biggest thing is that we really want people to have a conversation with their family. So Toby often talks about the kitchen table talk. So just making it something more normal. Talking about organ donation and not so much about the fact that it means that someone is going to pass away or that someone will die. It becomes something that people know more about. So if I have a conversation about organ donor registration with friends or colleagues at school, that they might think about it and they go, oh, okay, well, yes, I think that I would like to be an organ donor if that ever happened. And so then they register and they go have a conversation with their family or their friends. And hopefully that just from those conversations that we will get more people to become registered organ donors, because that's what it's really about. And that's what we really need, is that we need more people registered, because for every registered organ donor, then it just gives a little bit more hope for anybody who is waiting for a transplant. So we hope that that conversation will happen, that people are inspired to become a registered donor and that they really talk to their family, because it's in a time of tragedy like we went through, it's your family that makes that decision, and they need to know that that's what you want to do, is to be an organ donor.
We want people to make a decision. It's their decision to make. You decide what you want to do. And once you've made that decision, then do it.
Green Shirt Day's campaign slogan this year is Together Strong, which has special significance given the fact that we're still in a global pandemic. And Toby, I know you talked before about the significance of why Together Strong. There is a special significance around those words connected both to Green Shirt Day and to the pandemic.
Together Strong, it's about bringing people together to make a stronger community. And a stronger community makes a stronger province, region, and makes a stronger Canada. It's not just kidney, it's lung, it's heart, it's liver, it's everything. It's a COVID pandemic. We all need to come together to be strong. And if we can do that, then we make everyone else stronger. It's just like a team, right? If you're by yourself, you can't do it all. But if you come together like a team and you become a team first player and you work together, you can do amazing, amazing things.
We all can miss things that get thrown away, like a paper cup or like a favorite book that's been tossed aside. That doesn't really mean it's over. Get another chance to hold you. Maybe we can stop and rewind. You gotta give it everything you got. Don't worry about what you're not. I'm giving you another shot at love. Yeah, we can prove them wrong. Forever we'll be strong. I'm giving you another shot at Haters always hating, like a talk radio station. They shout out their thoughts every 5 minutes, but they don't know the truth. Don't see what I see in you. You're worth every chance and my forgiveness. You gotta give it everything you got. Don't worry about what you're not. I'm giving you another shot at love. Yeah, we can prove them wrong. Forever we'll be strong. I'm giving you another shot at love. Yeah, we can prove them wrong. Forever we'll be strong. I'm giving you another shot at love. We all can miss things that get thrown away, like a paper cup or like a favorite. I'm giving you another shot at love. But they don't know the truth. Don't see what I see in you. I'm giving you another shot at love.
Your son Logan and his legacy, the Logan Boulet effect, really ignited this country. It inspired conversations about organ donation all across Canada and around the world. In 2019, I was invited to speak at a high school in Langley, BC, to a class of graduating students, all of whom were going to be turning 19 within the next year or so, and they would then have the opportunity to make their own decision about registering to be an organ donor. I was joined by hockey Pee-wee coach Stephen Gillis, who at that time was in need of a kidney transplant. The feedback we received from these graduating students was one that was full of gratitude for Logan, for setting an example and for helping them to understand the power that they held to save a life one day, just as Logan had done. That was a moment that has stayed with me. It's the meaning of Green Shirt Day, that it's about the power that each one of us holds to save lives.
I love your story you just told, Barb, because, I mean, we get that in Lethbridge and we get a little bit outside of it, but we don't. It was on the radio in Lethbridge today that the high school that I taught at, and I don't know anything about this, is that they're organizing an art show with their art classes. Not a show, it'll be a virtual show, all inspired by the Humboldt Bronco tragedy and Logan Boulet.
As classroom teachers, we're talking about Green Shirt Day. And one of the teachers who's teaching grade 1 at our school, she had a conversation with her students about Green Shirt Day and just about Logan and what that it was coming up. And one little guy who is connected to our family through his mom, he put up his hand and he's all excited and he's talking about that. I'm going to be an organ donor because that's the right thing to do. And here's a little 6-year-old guy saying that that's what he wants to do. And he talked about the fact that his family had talked about Logan and his family had talked about organ donor registration and being an organ donor and what that means. And, you know, like for little kids to be able to say that, I think it makes it easier on their families because it's more of them saying, this is something I can do. It's kind of a regular thing. It's something that is important. It's a way I can give back. And rather than having, as I said before, like the doom and the gloom of what people think often of organ donation and the passing of someone. So that was just kind of a really cool story to hear. And the teacher told me that she just thought that it was so neat how the kids were excited and kids went home and talked about it with their families. So that's just kind of inspiring because in my world of teaching grade 2 and 7 and 8-year-olds, and the kids are stop at the bulletin board and they just talk about it. So that's what we really want to happen from this, is it to be more of a conversation and not something that people are worried about and like how to breach the subject.
What do you think Logan would say to all this that he has done, that he's got something called Logan's legacy and the Logan Boulet effect, and that all of this groundswell has come about, you know, as a result of his decision to do this and really change the playing field around organ donor awareness and education and save lives.
You know, we get asked that question a lot, like what would Logan think? Like what would he think about all of this? And Logan, he was the kind of the person that when he walked into a room, he kind of be quiet, but he was able to light up the room with his smile, and he would be a person that would get people involved in what was happening. But he was not the kind of person that was like, hey, look at me, look, I'm here, party can start, because he did like to party. But he was not that kind of person. So all of this, I'm quite sure he would say, like, this is a little bit much. I don't need all this recognition. I don't need to have like the Logan Boulet effect. What I did was the right thing to do. I was not going to need my organs. I was going to a place that I wouldn't need them anymore. Other people could use them. I could make the lives better of other people. It was the right thing to do. And he would I think he'd be overwhelmed by all of the Logan Boulet effect and the Green Shirt Day, that it was more than he needed. He didn't need that recognition. He didn't do this. He didn't do the stuff to have that recognition. It was team first and community first and other people first. And so this would just be his way of giving back. So yeah, he would just say, no, this is too much. This is not what I need. I'm not doing this for the recognition.
At the heart of it all, he was your son and you were mom and dad. We want to ask, how are you both doing heading into the third year of Green Shirt Day?
It was a hard day today for me. I wrote Logan's memorial for the paper. I also had to write some other things that were quite hard to write, and it's tough. Some days are real tough, and some days are not as tough. I still go down every morning and turn Logan's light on, and we take turns or whatever, turn off when we go to bed at night. Logan loves sunshine. He loved light. He liked sunshine. And so sunny days are important to us. If it's a sunny day, our front door's open. And it's those little things like that that make it easier for me. And we all grieve at different levels and different patterns. We've learned that from counseling and talking to people and getting advice from people we don't ask for, but we get it. And most of the time it's bang on. And so it's just I had a lady write me a card once that I taught with years ago, and she said in the card, about 6 months after, she mailed the card and said, "I hope things are beginning to soften around the edges." And I thought, what do you mean? But now the edges are softening for me. Still very hard in the middle. Brittany?
Yeah, I don't like, as Toby said, some days you just roll right along. It's like nothing happened, and then something will happen and it just like impacts you, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember now, like, that this happened. As we get closer, it's like, oh yeah, this is what I did 3 years ago. This is what we did 3 years ago. And so those kind of things are all hard. I got asked today, okay. So I got asked today because we're going to have Green Shirt Day at our school next Wednesday on the 31st, because we have our spring break or our Easter break when Green Shirt Day is actually on. So we can't have it that day. And I have to have a meeting after school on the 31st, but a student in my class. And another person said to me, well, are you sure that you are going to be okay to have it on the 31st? And I said, yeah, I'll be fine. And she goes, well, it's Green Shirt Day at this school. Are you going to be okay? And I just said, you know, it may be a day that'll be more emotional or more impactful, but it's a day that I just need to work through. And sometimes having things that keep me busy are good, and that makes my day just go a little bit better than a day that I have to sit and think lots about what happened and what we're coming up to, which sometimes that makes it more difficult to deal with that day, is because I have to deal with like more of those thoughts and those memories. So I don't think that my time necessarily, or my days are easier or better, but I think exactly what the lady who sent us that card, it's just getting a little bit softer. It's not as harsh. It's not as hard to take. And you can work your way through things a little bit better than I could have done 2 years ago, but it's still not always easy. And so some days are better than other days.
Hear the beating of 1,000 drums. Hear the echo as the thunder comes. They're screaming out at the top of their lungs. They couldn't drown me out today. Try and change it today. Is the best day of my life. Hear the singing of 1,000 tongues.
Since April 7th, 2018, have there been moments along the way where you've been able to take a breath, maybe to step back for a moment and to think about the hundreds of thousands of people who've been touched by the Logan Boulet effect and what Logan's legacy means for organ donation registration awareness?
I know I've become a much better advocate for organ donation and organ donor registration and awareness because I've done lots of research. We've done lots of speaking, so we like to have a different speech every time we speak. Interviews are easier because you ask a question, we know what we need to say. But to speak to someone for an hour we're teachers. But if you're talking about a topic that's very close to us, so we write a different speech every time, try to find new photographs, and it's hard. And we're getting better at it, and we're accepting our role. And I don't want to use the word enthusiasm, and it's not burden in any stretch of the imagination. It's not a burden. It's not like we're enthusiastic, but we're going to continue to serve and do the right thing. We know that the situation Logan was placed in, the national scope of the tragedy, and he being the only one that could actually donate when it's all said and done, that we have a voice that many, many families don't have. And many families have lost a child and donated their child's organs. And we know that. It's not like we're not the only ones, but we have a voice, and to use our voice on a national scope is a tremendous disservice to everyone who needs an organ.
It was interesting to have at first. I remember like the first time someone came up to me and said, "We're so thankful for all you do for organ donor registration and awareness. And because of you, I have hope that I will get a kidney," because that was the first place he did. But I have hope that my child, like my daughter or my husband, will be able to have a transplant one day. And it was just kind of odd, I guess. I never really thought of it that way. And as Toby said, we were still in that place where we've lost our son. He's not coming home. But then there was that ray of hope because it meant the impact of what we went through and the loss of Logan could actually help out other people. And I think that makes it a little bit easier to get through our loss too, is because we know that there is some good, there's something positive that has come out of the crash and the loss of Logan, that it is going to make an impact, that it is making a difference to people all across Canada, all across the world, that every time someone registers, it just means that there's that little bit more hope that there's going to be a match, that there's going to be a kidney for someone, and their life on dialysis and with dealing with kidney disease might go away. And that's that ray of hope or that sunshine. That took a little bit of time to like, why does this make a difference to you? And now we much more understand that than we did before, for sure.
And people that come up, they are genuinely thankful and they genuinely want to tell us. And it's an organ donor recipient, no matter what the organ was, are so thankful to have a second chance, to have another kick at the can. And we're beginning to realize that we have a responsibility, and I'm becoming thankful and happy to help people to do what they need to get done. It's getting easier to share the joy that people have, and it's genuine joy. And sometimes it's like awesome. It's awesome. It is.
We recognize and thank you for all that you've done to carry on the legacy and the torch of Logan Boulet and his wishes.
I just want to thank you on behalf of myself and Bernie for having us on the show and having an opportunity to talk about Logan. We love to talk about our son and a chance to tell our side of the story and to let your viewers know that people who have received an organ are impactful in our lives. It makes a difference to us, and it does give us strength to keep moving forward. It's not just our story anymore, It's the story of many, many Canadians. And thank you for letting us share that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's knowing very much it's that together strong, but it takes the people, the donors, the recipients, and the families, and the whole community to work together to make organ transplantation awareness and registration to all work. So it's very much that together strong.
Yeah.
Register your wishes to be an organ donor through your provincial organ and tissue donor registry. There are currently 4,300 people across Canada who are waiting for a transplant, and 3/4 of them are waiting for a kidney. April 7th, 2021 will commemorate the 3rd annual Green Shirt Day. So please, on April 7th, proudly wear green. Register, tell your family, and be inspired.